But let's take a couple of moments to come into our bodies after this long day. It's been very warm where I am. I don't know about the rest of you. You can just go ahead and take a couple moments to mindfully move while breathing, just coming into your body and feeling exactly what's going on. Noticing different areas of your body that are tight, stiff, stuck, or sore. Coming into stillness after a little bit of mindful movement. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Hello, Dawn. Thank you for joining us. Long time no see. I hope you're doing well out there on the West Coast. If you guys can't hear me at all, please just drop a comment so I can speak up for you as well. Taking long, deep breaths in through the nose and long breaths out through the nose. Keeping the breath within the body keeps the heat within the body, which allows your muscles to stretch deeper and longer as you warm the body up throughout this hour practice that we have together. Make sure you have some water. If you don't have a yoga mat, you can always use a towel. That totally works too. Maybe coming back into some movement, feeling what's going on in your body. Noticing what's stiff, stuck, sore. Maybe you can't pinpoint exactly what it's feeling like, but you know it's there. And as you notice these feelings within your body, taking deep breaths in through the nose and long breaths out, sending new oxygenated blood to these areas to help them to soften and relax. Hopefully you can hear these birds around me. Together, take a long breath in through the nose and a long breath out. Sigh out the mouth. One more time together. Deep breath in through the nose and sigh out the mouth. If you're seated in this crisscross applesauce posture, that's perfectly fine. We'll come into a couple of twists right now. So inhale, let's lift those arms up to frame the head. And then exhale, twist to the right. Take the left hand to the right knee and the right fingertips come out behind you. With every inhale, you get a little taller, and exhale, come back through center. Inhale the arms up and exhale to twist the other way. And stay here really for as long as you want. Just know that when you're ready to come out, you inhale, get tall through the crown of the head, and then exhale to come back to center, untwisting your body and your torso. We'll do that one more time to your own breath. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, twist to the right. Take as long as you need to breathe in this paused posture. You're holding this posture and feeling what's going on in your body right now. For example, I feel a very big pull in the top of my left shoulder blade. To come out, you inhale, find length through the crown of the head, and then exhale, come back to center. Inhale the arms up, and then twist to the opposite left side. Pausing here and feeling the difference in the sides of the body. I don't think I've ever had a yoga practice where two sides are the same. On your final inhale, get tall, and then exhale to untwist, coming back through center. We'll do some seated cat-cows. If you have a prop underneath your hips to elevate your hips above your knees, that's wonderful. It makes it so that you don't have to strain to sit up straight. But if not, that's okay. Just focus on engaging your core to protect your low back and your posture here, okay? So imagine there is a nice lemon in between your shoulder blades, so you draw them back as if you're going to make lemonade with your shoulder blades. So imagine that you're squeezing that lemon in between the shoulder blades, which draws the heart space open, and the collarbones, there's a ton of space there, right? So your hands come to your knees if they're not there already, and we're going to link our breaths to movement. So you're going to inhale, look up ever so gently, spread the collarbones a little bit more. There's a little bit of an arch in the low back. And as you exhale, tuck the chin into the chest, hollow out the stomach, kind of like curve it out, scoop it out, and maybe even begin to pull on your knees with your hands, which can bring this beautiful attention to the tops of the shoulders. So you're like pulling and tucking. Inhale, look up, arch the low back, draw the collarbones apart, and then exhale. Scoop out the core, draw the chin into the chest, maybe pull and lean away from your knees so that your arms can really get a pull and you feel that across tops of your shoulders. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round through the spine. And you can do this to your own breath as quickly or as slowly as you want to. This is all about feeling the differences within your body, right? So you can go as fast or as slow as you want. Inhaling up. Exhale, tuck and round. Inhale up. Exhale, tuck and round. You can even think about this from the pelvis and the hips. When you inhale, you get that beautiful arch in the back, the low back, and the tailbone. And then when you exhale and round, you're tucking the hips underneath as if they could dig into the earth like an anchor. A couple more times to your own breath. You may be coming back to stillness and just feeling the difference in your shoulders and your spine. A little bit of a shimmy never hurt anybody. It gets the spine nice and loose. Swing your legs around. Let's come into tabletop position. We'll do some more spinal warm-ups. That was a seated cat-cow series, little mini series that we just did there, right? So now we'll do that again, but in the tabletop position. So tabletop, your wrists are stacked under your shoulders. Your knees are stacked under your hips. I'm just going to turn this so you guys have a better view of this posture. And then from here, it's that same movement of inhaling to lift the tailbone and the heart space. And exhale, push the mat away from you, round through the spine. Draw the chin into the chest. Belly button comes up into the spine. And then on the inhale, lift the heart space. Exhale, push the mat away from you, round to the spine. And you can pause wherever this feels the juiciest and the nicest within your body. For example, my favorite place to pause is on the exhale, where you're really drawing the chin into the chest and the tops of the shoulders just get the most beautiful stretch. One more time. Maybe this organically turns into C curves, which is where you look over at your toes on either side, which is getting into the side bodies. Those side bodies, loosening them up, allowing us to breathe a little bit deeper through each movement. All right, come back to center. Spine is neutral. Your gaze is a couple of inches in front of your fingertips. You're not looking directly down in between your hands, but a little bit further toward the top of your mat. Bring your hands forward, an entire handprint forward. So there's like 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and walk your hands up and away to the top of your mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your hips, and send them back, lowering the heels to the earth, coming into your first down dog. If you're outside, noticing how uneven the ground is. Maybe adjusting your hands and feet. A great way to adjust the length between your hands and feet is to inhale, look forward, and on your exhale, glide forward to upper push-up position. So you see how I have to actually adjust my hands and feet and the distance between them? And then once you're in that full plank pose, that is the right distance between your hands and your feet. So once you've reached that, then you can exhale, send the hips back, nice and high for that down dog. On an inhale, look between your hands. Exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. So that's a little bit backwards, right? Usually we're bringing the feet to the hands, but this time you're going to walk your hands back to your feet. So you're in this nice forward fold at the back of your mat. On an inhale, rise your chest up for a halfway lift. And then exhale to forward fold. We're going to do that again. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Sweep the arms up. Grab the left wrist with the right hand, and then exhale over to the right. Inhale, back up through center, switch the grip. Exhale over to the left. Inhale, back up through center. Bring the arms out wide, nice wingspan, swan dive over both of those extended legs. Coming back into your forward fold. Inhale up for a halfway lift. Exhale and release. Plant your hands and then go ahead and walk. Well, you're going to have to walk your hands forward, right? Because we're at the back of the mat. So coming back into your plank pose. And in this plank pose, you always have an option to modify and lower the knees down. So let's talk about that alignment really quick. From this plank pose, you can lower those knees down. You can untuck the toes. So the difference between the proper alignment of this modified plank and a not proper modified plank is that in the proper alignment, you are sending the heart forward and you're still stacking the shoulders over the wrists. Sometimes when this happens, you'll see that people bring their hips back, and then you can see that my shoulders are not stacked over the wrist. So that's really important to send the heart forward, because if you tucked your toes and lifted your knees, you would come right back into a regular plank pose, right? So making sure that you aren't sending the hips back if your knees are lowered. And just going through that and practicing and feeling the difference of that energetic cue of sending the heart forward. So tuck those toes, lift the hips all the way back, coming back into down dog. Beautiful. On an inhale, look between your hands. Exhale, step, walk, or jump, feet to hands. Inhale up for a halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, come all the way up. Sweep the arms up. And then exhale, forward fold over those legs again. Inhale up for that halfway lift. And exhale, release. Plant your hands. Go ahead and step your feet back to that upper push-up position. And then on an exhale, bend the elbows in toward the side bodies, lower all the way down to the mat in one piece. Untuck the toes when you arrive. Your hands are flat against the mat. The elbows are drawing in, just like we drew in the shoulder blades to squeeze that lemon in between the shoulder blades. You're drawing the elbows in toward the side bodies. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, and then inhale, lift up. Very, very small back bend for a little baby cobra. Exhale, release. Tuck the toes, push up through hands and knees or through plank, and then lift the hips, coming back into down dog. So that's a wonderful vinyasa. It's called a Sun A. It gets the body moving. It gets warmth going throughout the body, warming up those muscles. So right now you're all back in down dog together, right? Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just finding the pause. Just noticing the sensations in your body. If you feel your mind start to wander here, bring it back to your breath or to the sensations that you're feeling while you're in this pose. On an inhale, raise the right leg to hip height. Look in between your hands and exhale. The right leg all the way up in between your hands. Lower the back knee down. The left toes can be tucked or untucked. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, rise up, stacking the shoulders over the hips. Maybe your arms come up to frame the head, or they're at this cactus variation where your elbows are bent at a 90-degree angle. For me, that personally helps me to breathe a little bit more. If this is too much on your left knee, you can always roll the mat over to give yourself some extra cushion as well. Inhale, look up, reach up with the arms, and then exhale, bring them down to frame the right front foot. Tuck those back left toes if they aren't already tucked, and then lift up off of the back left knee. Now you're in this beautiful low lunge position where you want the right knee stacked directly over the right ankle. And then when you're ready, inhale, rise all the way up. This is that full crescent. So if this is too much for you, and if you feel that your breath is becoming choppy or labored, if it's hard to breathe at all, That's when you know it's time to modify. Lower that back knee down. Listen to your body. So you can be up in full crescent, or you can be in modified here. Inhale, look up with the arms, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands down to frame the front foot. Hike the back foot all the way up to meet the right foot, so you're coming back to that forward fold at the front of your mat. Inhale up for that halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant the hands, step it back to upper push-up position. Hold this for one full inhale, and on the exhale, bend the elbows in toward the side bodies, lower down to the mat in one piece, untuck the toes when you arrive. Inhale up for that little baby cobra, very, very small back bend. Exhale, release. Tuck the toes, push up through hands and knees or through plank, and then send the hips back to down dog. On an inhale, raise the left leg to hip height, look in between the hands, and exhale, step that foot through in between the hands at the top of the mat. You can lower the back knee down, and then inhale to rise up, or you can keep the back right leg and knee lifted, right? And then you're going to rise up for the full crescent. So I guess you could say that today we're working on the difference between full expression of poses and modified, and knowing where your body says enough is enough, let's modify, or you're just not comfortable or there yet. So that's why we offer these modifications, so that anyone of all levels can do it. So let's talk about one more thing here. If your back left knee is lifted and you're not in modified, as well as if your toes are tucked while in modified, one thing to really focus on is where the orientation of the heel over the toes are. You don't want the heel pressing back. You want the heel stacked directly over the toes, which gives you a beautiful pelvic lift. So if you take a look at the screen, instead of listening to my words, you'll see that right now my back heel is not in proper alignment. And look how low to the ground I am. As soon as I bring that up, you get a pelvic lift. My whole pelvis just lifted up so much there. So instead of sinking into the front right hip by not having proper alignment of the back foot, you're protecting your hips. You're not going to overstretch anything. So that's what's going on there, okay? So you've been holding this for quite some time. Hopefully you're playing with the alignment of the back foot and the heel over the toes alignment. So if you're in modified, lift that back knee up, step the right foot forward to meet the left, and come back to that forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale up for that halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, come all the way up. Sweep the arms up. Bring the hands right down through heart center and forward fold. Inhale up for a halfway lift. And then exhale, release. Plant the hands, step it back to upper push-up position. Hold that plank position or modified for one full inhale. And then on the exhale, bend the elbows in toward the side bodies, lower down to the mat in one piece. Untuck the toes. Inhale up for that little baby cobra. Exhale to release, and then go ahead and send the hips back. Beautiful. All right. So together we're all in this down dog. Which, by the way, if down dog is a lot on your wrists, let's talk about that alignment. This is a really good one for anyone who has wrist problems. So in plank, sometimes it may bother you. Sometimes in down dog, it might bother you. Any kind of forearm or balancing poses that use your arms, like crow pose, for example. Anything where you're pouring a lot of weight into the wrists and it bothers you. Really focus on how there are 4 points of contact in the hand, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we're in down dog, a lot of the times what happens is there's this weird kind of cupping action that comes in the index knuckle and the thumb. So that side of the hand isn't fully sealed to the mat. So you really have to focus on sealing that to the mat. And what that does is it takes the pressure off of your wrist. So if you go ahead and look at the screen again and see that I just created that space under my index knuckle, this one right here. So when I seal it, you can see that space disappears. So that's what we're going for here, is being able to seal the whole mat to the hand. Or the hand to the mat, excuse me. So that's what is going on there, and that will help you with any wrist problems, or you can actually take it to fists, or you can lower down to forearms. And you can do that for plank and down dog. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to message me, and I'll happily walk you through it in more detail. But basically, if your wrists are bothering you, you can always lower down to forearms, whether it's in down dog or if it's in plank position. You can always lower down to forearms if it's bothering your wrists. That's a nice way to kind of spread out the weight of your body, if lowering the knees in plank isn't enough for you. All right. So hopefully you feel the difference of that in your down dog. Inhale both heels up to the sky, and then exhale, lower them again to the earth, a little bit closer to the mat. On an inhale, look between your hands. Exhale, step, walk, or jump, feet to hands. Inhale up for that halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, come all the way up, sweep the arms up, and then forward fold. Heel toe the feet out past hip distance, so the outer edges of your feet come to the outer edges of the mat. You have a nice little micro bend to the back of your knees, and what that does is it makes sure that your muscles are doing the work. Grab opposite elbows and go ahead and sway in ragdoll. You can make this movement as big or as small or as non-existent as you want. You could just hang out here in stillness, which is a great release for your low back, no matter if you're moving or if you're staying still. Okay? Just breathing, hanging out here, literally. Maybe feeling a beautiful stretch in your mid-back. Release your hands to the earth. Begin to bend the knees very generously, lower the hips all of the way to the, well, not all the way to the earth. We're going to come to this nice Malasana squat here first. Then we'll get all the way down to the ground, yeah? So in this nice Malasana squat, sometimes you can't get your hips all the way down here. If this causes you any knee pain, you can always keep the hips about halfway lifted. Knees are nice and bent. This is called Huddle Pose. But the same, there's the part that connects those two and keeps it a similar posture is that you are pushing the elbows into the knees and at the same time drawing the knees in toward the midline. Hands are at heart center. So it doesn't matter if your hips are lifted or if your hips are down toward the mat. You want that sensation of pushing the elbows away and drawing the knees in, okay? Lower the fingertips to the earth, and then go ahead and come all the way down to seated. Extend the legs nice and long on the mat. Stay nice and flexed through the feet. My nice dirty feet. All right. Inhale the arms up to frame the head, and then exhale, bow forward. Breathing here, keeping the feet nice and flexed. Whether your hands come to your knees, your shins, your ankles, or your toes. Slowly release the hands from wherever they are and inhale to rise back up, stacking the shoulders over the hips. So let's do that stretch, but one leg at a time. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the left foot and bring the sole of the left foot to the inner right thigh. Staying nice and flexed through that front extended right leg. Turn your shoulders toward the right leg. Inhale the arms up, and then exhale, forward fold. And feel what's going on here. If you don't initially turn those shoulders toward the leg, sometimes without doing that, it doesn't feel like you can get as low. Because everyone's body is different, and the form and expression of every single pose is all about the body. No pose looks the same on anyone. So, release those hands. Inhale to rise back up. Let's switch those legs. Extend the left leg long. Bring the right foot into the left inner thigh. Stay nice and flexed through that left foot. Inhale the arms up. Turn the shoulders toward the left foot. Gotcha. And then exhale. Forward fold. Wherever those hands fall, shin, ankle, knee, foot. Slowly release those hands. On an inhale, rise back up. Bring the soles of your feet together. Open your knees like a book. Coming into a little bit of hip work here. We'll get into some reclined pigeons next. Reclined pigeon, so you can just sit here and I'll talk to you about what we're going to do next, since today is about modifications and things to do if you're feeling like maybe you just don't have enough energy. There are so many different reasons as to why you would choose to do a modification. It's not that you can't do the pose. It's so much more than that. It could be that maybe your mind got away from you. Maybe you started thinking about something that's causing you distress. Maybe you just aren't able to focus on your breath, so then you're having this inner dialogue of, wow, why am I not in the moment? Why am I not able to do this? And you're beating yourself up. There are so many different reasons to take a modification, or injuries, of course, are a huge reason to take a modification, right? So that's why I like teaching these, because it gives you, it makes your asana means pose, it makes your pose like, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes your pose arsenal, like, it doubles it. And you can choose to do something that maybe the teacher isn't offering, but you know that it's a modification and that it's safer for you in that moment. So right now, the soles of our feet together, we're in this little butterfly pose, just kind of coming into the hips before we get a little bit deeper into the hips. So to come into this reclined pigeon, go ahead and take your hands to the outside edges of your knees, close them like a book. Walk your feet out so your knees are tented, your feet are planted on the earth. From here, we're going to slowly roll down, coming down to lay down on your back, but your knees are still tented, right? So with your knees still tented, feet on the floor, this is called reclined pigeon. This is a beautiful hip opener that you can do at any point in time, even like before you go to bed. If you've been sitting all day long, this is a great one to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross our right ankle over our left knee. Make sure that you have some really nice flexion, like you're going to put a footprint on the wall or the tree next to you. And from here, you can begin to take your right hand and push it into the right knee. Push that right knee toward the front of the mat. And if this is enough for you and you get enough sensation out of the outer right hip, then you should stay here for a minute, for a couple of breaths. Then when you're ready to have more, you can inhale and lift the left leg up. So now you're in this nice figure 4 position with the right knee, yeah? You stay nice and flexed through that left ankle. And then you can go ahead and take your hands, weave them through the space that you've created with your legs. So you're going to wrap your hands and grab underneath the knee at the thigh. So you have flexion through both ankles. And then if you'd like even more, you can straighten the left leg. Maybe push the right elbow into the knee, or you can experiment with grasping down closer towards your glute, which will pull the left leg closer to your chest, which will intensify this. And all the while, you have to think about pushing that right knee toward the front of the mat. I know it's a lot to think about, so if you've gotten overwhelmed with the amount of cues, come back to your breath and your body and see what you're feeling right now. You might feel it in the outer right hip. You might feel it in your low back. Whatever you're feeling right now, go ahead and relax the shoulders into the mat a little bit more. Sometimes they tend to pop up because you're trying to hold that left leg. So relax those shoulders into the mat. Beautiful. To come out of this, bend the left knee. Release the left thigh. Lower this whole formation to the ground. We're going to come into a nice twist now from here, since we have this lovely leg position. So your arms can come out long off of the mat in a capital T with your palms facing down. And then you can lower this entire leg formation over to the left. And if that is too much on either of your knees, you can uncross the leg and just stack the knees on top of each other. So you have 2 different options here for this twist. Using your core, inhale to lift the legs back up through center. uncross the right knee from the left, lower the right foot down. So that's reclined half pigeon. So we're going to come into this on the other side now, right? Inhale, lift the left leg, cross the left ankle over the right knee, and push that left knee toward the front of the mat. You can do that physically with your left hand, or you can just actively activate with your leg muscles and move that knee toward the front of the mat, okay? And when you're ready for more, whenever you're ready, on an inhale, you can lift that right leg up, grab underneath the knee so the hand comes around the outside of the right thigh and through the space you've created by crossing the left ankle over the right knee. So now you have this nice figure four position again. You're flexed through both feet. And if you'd like more at this time, you can always extend the right leg up. Pull that right leg in toward the chest more with your arms. Relax the shoulders into the mat. Beautiful. Begin to breathe. Just noticing where you're feeling this on a different side of your body. The sensations can be totally different. So maybe you don't get to the full expression of straightening the right leg. Maybe you stay with the right leg bent, the right knee bent. Wherever you are, go ahead and rebend that right knee, release the right thigh, bring the right foot down to the mat, arms come out long off the mat in a capital T with the palms facing down, and you can exhale, lower this entire formation over to the right. You can look out over your left shoulder if that's comfortable for your neck. When you're ready to come out of this, using your core, on the inhale, bring the entire formation back up through center. Unhook the left ankle from the right knee. Bring the arms down along your sides. Inhale, bring both knees into the chest. Grab the knees, give yourself a hug, maybe even bring the forehead up to meet the knees. Relax the head back down to the ground. Make little circles with your knees, going back and forth. And what this does is this is massaging your low back, getting into a bunch of different attachment sites for the muscles. And a pro tip, massaging the attachment site forces the muscle belly to relax. So just giving the tops of your hips and your low back a little bit of attention by just mindfully moving and wiggling around. Come back to stillness. Lower the feet to the earth. Your knees are tented. Wonderful. And just pause here and feel the difference in your low back. Maybe you're feeling it in your mid back. Maybe you're feeling it in your shoulders. You can feel a pose anywhere. It's not textbook, right? Because everyone feels things differently. So let's bring the soles of our feet to touch again. Let the knees open like a book. And begin to breathe. You can take one hand to your stomach and one hand to your heart, or both hands to your belly. And breathe. One way to modify this pose right now, if you have blocks or you have pillows, you just want to put support underneath your knees that are open like a book right now, right? So that is one way to modify this pose, because this can be an overstretch to the front of the hips. Go ahead and take your hands and palpate what I'm talking about right now. So you put your hands on your hips as if you were standing upright, and you can poke around and feel that bony part of your hip. And what that is an attachment site for a lot of different muscles. Your low back muscles, your quads, and what's also known as hip flexors. So this area gets a lot of stress and strain if you're sitting too much, if you're walking too much. And obviously low back pain is no joke. So doing this stretch is a beautiful way to alleviate all of those things. But it's really nice to have the support of props underneath the knees that are open. And so that's a beautiful way to modify this, so you don't overstretch the front of the hip. To come out of this, bring your hands to the outside edges of your knees. Close them like a book. So you're pushing the hands to help your knees close. Your feet are on the ground. You can inhale, bring the knees back into your chest, roll around, give yourself another hug. Roll around, massaging that low back. Awesome. Go ahead and lower your feet to the mat. Go ahead and extend both of your legs nice and long on the mat. We're coming into a period of silence called Shavasana. Shavasana is a time for you to just let your body absorb all the movement that you just did. So your arms are down along your sides, your legs are extended long, your feet naturally splay open. If you'd like, you can take one hand to your stomach and one hand to your heart so you can feel the connection between the two and the breath that moves from your belly to your chest, to your throat, to your nose, back into the world. So this is a period of silence. I will bring you out of it with my voice when we're done, and then we'll get into some meditation, okay? So enjoy this quiet time of Shavasana. Start to bring movement back into your fingers and your toes. Bring your attention back to your surroundings and back to your body. I had to get up and move. The mosquitoes were eating me alive. This last part of class is meditation. So you can gently begin to roll over to your right side. Push yourself up to a seated position using your arms and your hands. Very gentle way to come back up to seated. Or if you would like to stay laying down, of course, that's always an option, and you can do that too. Oh my gosh, the mosquitoes are everywhere. This is what happens when you live down by the water. So for these last few minutes of meditation, finding a comfortable seat, using a pillow to lift your hips above your knees. You can stay laying down. But I definitely have to go inside because those mosquitoes are eating me alive. So I will grab myself a meditation cushion and we will begin meditating for the last few minutes of class, okay? Thank you for your patience while I relocated. All right. So finding a nice comfortable seat. You can have one hand on your stomach and one hand on your heart. Your hands can be at heart center with your thumbs pressing into the heart space, or your hands can come to your knees. Your eyes can be softly closed, or they can be open. You can find a gaze point, something just to gently stare at. I personally enjoy having one hand on my stomach and one hand on my heart to feel the connection, feeling the breath move through the entirety of the body. The belly fills like a balloon. At the top of the inhale, the chest expands a little bit. And as you exhale, you feel the air come up over the back of the throat and then exit through the nose. Since you're at home, you can breathe as loudly as you want. Don't have to worry about someone on the mat next to you. I love it when I can hear my neighbor's breath. It's a lovely anchor. It's something for me to focus on so my mind doesn't wander. And meditation is a practice, right? It's a never-ending practice. You'll have good days. You'll have not as good days. And it's about being able to sit with all of those feelings. Try not to judge them or say this was a good day and this was a bad day. Because we hold emotion on a cellular level. So everything we've ever felt is stored somewhere within the body. So by embarking on this personal practice, you're attempting to tap into the body to feel where you're storing some emotions. Together, take a breath in and a long exhale out. Begin to breathe in this stillness and this silence together. If your mind begins to wander, come back to your inhales and exhales. Not so much labeling them and forcing yourself to do them, but just noticing that you are, in fact, inhaling and exhaling. Soften the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Check in with your jaw. Bring the tip of the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. On your next exhale, relax the space between the eyes. As you inhale, you feel the belly fill like a balloon. At the top of the inhale, maybe hold the breath for 1 second, 2 seconds, and then exhale out the nose. Maybe trying that again. Inhaling deeply, feel your entire torso fill with breath. Hold the breath at the top of the inhale and slowly begin the exhale after you hold that breath at the top. The one thing that we have control over in this life is our breath, right? So taking the time to sit with it and practice breathing. If thoughts come to your mind, allow them to just drift on like clouds, coming back to your breath, saying, oh, that was a thought. And then you continue to breathe. Maybe here comes another thought. On your exhale, maybe you allow it to drift away. Maybe you notice somewhere in your body that feels different. Maybe you hear a bird chirping or a fly buzzing. Come back to the space around you and the present moment that you are sitting in. Here comes another thought. Bring your awareness back to your breath as you inhale deeply through the nose and exhale also through the nose. Take your hands from wherever they are and inhale, lift them up to frame the head. Look up towards your hands. Bring the hands down through heart center. We'll do that again. Sweep the arms up to frame the head. Look up, reach up. Bring the hands down through heart center. One final time. Inhale, sweep the arms up, look up, reach up. Bring the hands down to heart center. Press the thumbs into the heart space. Feel the energy between your hands. Soften and relax the shoulders away from the ears. Together, take a breath in and a long sigh out. Bow your head to your heart, lift your heart to your head, bringing the two closer together. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday evening. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. I will be back again Thursday morning at 9 a.m. for a faster flow class. The light and the truth in me sees that and honors it in each of you. Namaste, everyone.